Hi everybody, we're back again with a new character, Kimmy Gibbler. There's a theme. Anyway, we've already got all of her options set up. We're trying to make this look as much like the old game as we can without actually using the old client. We're using the ClassicUO client. So the rules of this slow play are not too restrictive. We're not running Razor. We're actually connecting directly to the shard using ClassicUO. And we're not using ClassicUO's ability to run Razor text macros. Because we didn't have those back in the day. I'm trying to play this like we did back in the T2A era. And I didn't have UO assist until the Renaissance era. I will be using ClassicUO's OSI-like macro functions pretty heavily, as I did back then. I won't be doing any unattended play of any kind, except for bank sitting or hiding for bio breaks. And there's no other restrictions on regs, economy, etc. So I will be using all the reagents. I will be buying from player vendors and trading with other players, because that is how we played back in the day. So we started with 40 strength, 25 intelligence, and 15 dex. And in retrospect, I probably should have changed that, but it doesn't matter. We also started with 50 anatomy, 49 healing, and 1 camping for that newbie to bedroll. I head for the training dummies as I normally did back then. And my recollection on OSI servers is that your swordsmanship skyrockets till about 25, and then it stops. I mean, it doesn't skyrocket in the 20s, but it raises pretty consistently until 25.0 real skill. But I found out here that you can still gain past 10.0 real skill, but the game really slows down. So I had to start fighting animals for skill. First I fought a bird behind the castle, and victoriously won. That was weird to say. And then I found a cow in the commons area of the castle and had to run. And then I found a rabbit on the steps of the castle and thought, surely I can take a rabbit, and was wrong and had to run. But then I fought a rat at the bank, and the rat ran from me. So, vindication. So now we're going to be doing stat training. And again, this is how I played the game back in T2A. Every time I would start a new character on a new server, usually because Lake Superior was down, this is what I would do. I bought a shepherd's crook and went to the Brit stables to start herding. I set up a macro to help me do this. I set that macro to the spacebar. I balance a cigarette lighter on the spacebar, and then I can do whatever I need to. Talk to family, watch YouTube, just as long as I don't have to interact with the keyboard very much. At 100 strength, we switched to snooping, and that all took about an hour and a half to get 100 strength and whatever dex that is. And at that point, I bought a tambourine so I could play that while I'm moving around to gain more dex. So then we start making gold. This is the most dangerous thing I do this episode. I run all the way to U through the moon gates to get some wool. Once safely back home in Britain, sorry, I always make that mistake. I spun the wool into cloth and sold some of the bolts to afford tailoring training. And then with the tailoring training and a tailoring kit, I made and sold shirts until I was out of cloth. I made about 1,800 gold doing that. It's a great fallback skill for when you're first getting started to make gold. And this is literally how I made my starting gold on every character, was tailoring. If you start with mining and blacksmithing, you can make a lot more gold a lot more quickly, but you have to burn your starting skills for that. So I went to the bank and I sat down and trained decks with the tambourine, and trained anatomy by using anatomy on the bankers there for about 2 hours and 15 minutes to cap out my decks. And we also gained a pretty good amount of anatomy doing that. Yeah, and so that's the end of the new character setup. I've got 100 strength, 100 dex, 25 int. So my stats are good. I usually never left town until my stats were like that. We're still going to be fighting low-level creatures and having to scrape to get by. But we're just going to have an easier time of it because we have so much more HP. We do so much more damage. We swing faster. All of these things are going to help us. So yeah, I will see you in episode 2 where we start adventuring.